Welcome, everybody, to another SQL Saturday session. Today we have Idris who will be doing this one. He will be coaching this session. Everybody to another SQL Saturday. Okay. All right, awesome. So we're just going to wait until everyone else joins before we start. Okay, awesome. We have Jelly who's tuning in. Who else do we have tuning in today? Alberto. Awesome. Alberto. All right, guys. So if you guys look over, we have the links that we'll be using today. We have the database that we'll be looking at, and we also have the date test. So just plug those in. If you need to know how to set everything up, we have that information as well. We'll briefly go over how to do that. And we also have the slides so you can actually look at what we're working on and follow along. Okay. All right, so let me just introduce myself briefly. I am Lex. I'm from the Discord, all about the data. I'm currently in health informatics, studying in health informatics. And yeah, so that's a little bit about me. And I'm going to briefly introduce everyone else who will be on our team today. Okay, so today we have Aegis. He will be our coach today. He is a graduate student majoring in power engineering. And we have Manachu, who is a business analyst. And we also have Rob as well, who is a data analytics professional. Okay, and I'm going to pass it over to Idris so he can begin.
All right, thanks, Alex. So glad to be here. How's everyone doing? Um, we are going to just have a quick walkthrough on getting the I'm sure everyone can see my screen now. Can you confirm that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So if you're just joining us for the first time, it's no problem. We are going to go a bit slow. Of course, today's topics are a little bit advanced compared to the ones we've done in the past, but we'll try as much as possible to use examples that anyone can relate with. We would not be going complicated, okay? But we just want to take a quick minute or two to set up our database in case you're joining us for the first time. So please just go to this website, sqlite.com. So I'm just going to move over there. So you should have something like this. And then also go to this website. It will be pasted on the chat. Um, this is where we have the database we'll be using. So just come over here as soon as you uh, are on this page. Okay, so you can just click on this, not wind, this, yeah. So it's the link, just click on it. It will take you back to the root, and then toggle on code, and then download the zip. So as soon as you download, you can have access to the database we'll be using, and then just extract using any extractor. 7-zip is my favorite, so you can make use of that to extract the database from it. As soon as you're done with that, let me just give 1 minute for those who are doing this right now. So please just take 1 minute to do that. Okay, just come to code, download zip, just extract with 7-zip, and then as soon as you extract, you should have the folder that contains the database. It should have something like this. Okay, so this is the database. So I want to assume everyone has done that. So we'll go back to SQLite, and you click on import and then open. Okay, and then you can, this is the folder that was downloaded, and just open this, just double click on it, and then it's okay. All right. Okay, you should do that. I think I'm having like a mm, okay, I have it. You need to come to Postgre. As soon as you come to this place, please click on Postgre, yeah, because that is the server we'll be using. So click on Postgre before you click on import. Okay, if you don't choose Postgre, you probably be getting an error just like I did. So just go to Postgre, click on import, open, then select the file, and then click OK to run it. Okay, and then you should have something like this. These are all the tables that we have in our database. All right. Okay, perfect.
Okay, before you continue, Idris, do you mind just zooming into your screen just a little bit more?
Like this. Is it okay like this?
Just a tad bit more if you can zoom in.
Is it fine? Is it fine like this?
Yep, there you go. That's
Okay,
go right back to what you had a little bit before.
like this, 100. I think it's fine this way, right? This is 100.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. All right, perfect. So today's presentation, um, we are done with setting up the database. So we're looking at subqueries first. Mm, And as the name suggests, just like you have it in the slide, it is basically a query inside of a query. Some call it inside query, others call it nested query. Whatever you call it, it just simply means you're querying a query, So more like you've tried to access your database, and brought out some tables, you queried some tables, and inside of that table, then you want to get additional information. So we'll just go simple, just come over to our um, our um, our SQLite. So I'm just going to query something here. So select all from, let's make use of the, let me see, let's make use of the orders table, for instance. So orders, let's make use of the orders table. So just run this. So of course, everyone knows how to do this. So this is just querying the um, orders table, what we have in our orders table. We have all of these tables there. So let's assume that I need some, just not everything. I need some information. Maybe I need the order ID and like the customer ID, for instance. Of course, we know we are going to just have order ID, yeah, comma, and then the customer ID. Right. So this is very easy to understand, and we have this. Okay. So just trying to give us like a walkthrough of this in case you're just joining us for the first time. So now let's use joins. I want us to apply joins. We learned joins some time ago, so I believe most of us here already know how to do joins. So let's join our orders table with our orders details table. Okay, so let's see what we have in our order details table. Okay, so this is orders details, order details. Okay, if you run this, you have what we have, see what we have in our order details. So we have our order ID, we have the product ID, the unit price, the quantity, as well as the discount. So this order details table gives us more information than what we have in our orders table. So it tells us which product is being purchased, what is the unit price of that product, and what is the quantity of that product that was purchased, and also what is the discount on that product. So in order to have the complete information of this order, we need to join these two tables together. Okay, so we are going to write a join statement. So I'm going to say select all from orders, join order details on. So we are joining them using the orders ID. So just going to say order ID um, equals order details. If you have any question, please ask on the chat. Okay. So I'm just going a bit fast because this is not really what we want to do. I'm just doing a background stuff. So select all from orders, join other details on order ID, this equals to this. So if you run this, we are going to have a longer table. You can see in terms of width. So you have all the information from the orders table and all the information uh, from the other details table. So now let's assume that we don't want all of this information. I mean, it's pretty a whole lot of stuff here. So I just need some columns, not all the columns. So I'm interested in the order ID. I'm interested also in the product ID. I want to know which products are being purchased for each orders, and I want to know the unit price of each orders, of each product. I want to know the quantity of products that was purchased and also the discount. So I need these five, or I mean six columns. So of course we can do the select directly from this place, but one way we can also go about it is using the subquery. I promise that we will not be doing complicated stuff. Usually when you find topics like this, they are usually treated with window functions and all of that. But I don't want to use those things. I just want to go as simple as possible so we can all pick, we can all understand what's going on. So instead of me saying select all of these things, I'm going to create a subquery for it. Okay. So now the idea is, let me just copy this. So you're going to follow along now. Just going to add a new one here. So the idea is, this query is producing this result, right? But we don't want all of this result. We want something out of this result. So we are going to write another query that will query this. Okay. Don't forget, this is not a table in our data set, in our database. We don't have this table. We created it using this query. But inside of this, what you can call temporary table, we want to query again. Okay, so that's where a subquery comes in. So I'm just going to write another query up here, and I'm going to say select. Okay, so what are the things we need from this new table that we just created? We need order ID, right? We need product ID. We need the let me check what we said we need earlier. We need the unit price, right? So unit price. We also need the quantity as well as the discount, right? So quantity as well as discount. Okay, so these are the four stuffs we need out of this table. Okay, so but this table is not here because we've not created any table with this. This was created with our query. So we now want to query this just like we said. So we're going to say select all of this from. So where are we querying this from now? From here, right? So instead of writing a table name, we don't have a table name, then we are going to just bring this over here and add a bracket. Okay. So once I add a bracket and close it in a bracket, it means all of this will be coming as one table. Okay, so you can't find it in our database, of course, but it has already been queried out. So that is like you are querying a query, which is exactly what subquery means. You understand? So you want to bring out order ID, product ID, unit price, quantity, and discount from this query that you have here. Mhm. So of course, if I run this, it's not going to work for reasons many of us know, and this is an issue with alias. Okay, so because now we have two queries, so it's important to use the alias, and we can always create that using the as statement. So we want to like give this a nickname. Okay, so because we have two queries together, so we need to give this a nickname, and the nickname I can give it is, say, first table. Just you can give it any name. Okay, so when we run this, we are still getting another error, and this error is talking about ambiguity. All right, I'm not copying the code. Of course, I cannot copy the code and just run. I want us to also observe these errors and know how to troubleshoot them. So talking about ambiguity is it means that you have a particular column, you need a colon, and this colon is present in two places. So SQL is telling you, where do you want me to, which of this table do you want me to get this column for? That's what ambiguity is talking about. So how do I know? So if you check, let's come back quickly to our Postgres. If you run our orders table, you can see that we have order ID, right? If you also run our order details, you can see also that we have order ID. And here we are trying to select order ID from here. Don't forget, if you run this, look at this now. If we run this now, we have order ID for the first table. Because we are joining, we also have order ID for the second table. So the ambiguity is coming because SQL does not know which of the other tables that you want. So you need to do, you need to signify and by writing this in full. So I want the order ID from orders. So I'm going to just say orders dot. Okay. So this way it's a more clear reference that, okay, I want the order ID from the orders table. And when we run this, oh my goodness, we still have an error. It says the error here is saying missing from clause for table orders. So let me see where that error is. um Select all from orders, join blah 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 on this. As first they're saying, oh, there's no oh, there is from. Select this from this. um what is wrong with that? If you can find the issue, please signify. If you can find what is wrong with that, please let us know. If you can find the issue with that. mm, I think it is correct. So what is the issue? From select all from orders. Anybody can find anything? Let me run it again. Let's see the error we get. It says missing from clause uh, entry for table orders. Hmm, this is weird. Um, from orders, join order details on. Do we have anything in the comment? Perhaps someone is saying something I'm not saying right now.
Someone is saying something about the alias from LinkedIn to check the
Ah,
alias.
okay. I think I have the alias here. Um, it's weird because I can't even see anything. Um, Let me see. Hmm, interesting. Okay. Uh, okay. Let me see. I'm not sure. Uh, oh my goodness. Okay. Run it again. So,
Someone else is also saying check the as a first underscore table should be included in the blanket.
ah,
Just reading off the comments.
okay.
Thank you guys.
Oh, still not working? No, it should be. Um, Okay. I think okay. Let me just I think I have some here that select f- from select all from orders. Oh, this is crazy, man. Um, mm, equals to other details. Dot other ID. Mm. I'm surprised this is not working. Seriously. Okay, this is the one I have here. Let me just add this one. I think I had this one from before. Okay. Yeah, I should even write it. Oh, this is working. So let me go back there. Maybe I should just write it in a more, then I can easily see what is going on. So we are selecting all of this from, this should produce another query, right? So I'm just going to write this. Uh, oh, okay. I think there needs to be a bracket here. We have only one bracket. Okay, I think we need to have a bracket here. Am I right? Still not correct. Okay, let me just go with this one, which I created here. I don't know why that is not, I can't really. So it's still the same query. So you have, but this time we are selecting order ID, product ID. This one is selecting order ID, order details, the product ID, and also the unit price, quantity, discount. All of these were written together. So instead of selecting all, yeah, the one we were using before, um, instead of selecting everything, so we are already telling it that we want all of this, right? So let me just copy this again. So we should have space. Okay, so this is exactly what we were expecting. So we wanted this order ID, product ID, unit price, and the quantity, as well as the discount. So what we want to do now is to do a kind of calculations, right? Because we know if the unit price is 14, for instance, and the quantity is 12, and the discount is 0. If we want to know the total cost of this product, right? All we need to do is multiply this unit price with the quantity, and then we are going to subtract the discount, right? I think everyone knows this. So we are going to then write the query for that, because this is another query that is written here. So we are going to say um, select order ID, okay, and then we need the product ID, all right. And then we need this multiplied by this minus this, right? So we're just going to write it together. So we need unit price multiplied by the quantity, right? Put it in a bracket just to make it readable, minus the discount. All right, so and then I'm going to put all of this in a bracket, like the second bracket as well. So now inside of this, I want to query out this alone. Okay, still the subquery we are talking about. Okay, so just to make it easy, I'm going to alias this calculation as product price, just something just we can relate with. Okay, so all of this now will give us the price for each product. Okay, so where are we selecting it from? I'm selecting from this order, from this query. So I'm just going to have this in a bracket. Okay, so I don't want it to be on the same line for readability. So everything is going to be inside of this bracket. So we are querying all of this from this. Okay, so and then because we have two queries, of course, I need to alias this. Okay, so I would just say as, I can call it new table, for instance. So just give it a name that you can easily relate to. So let me just try to arrange this so that we can understand it better. So I'm going to bring this form here, from select here, and I'm going to bring this here. Okay, so let me explain before I run this. So you are selecting this, all of this now from this query. Okay, so it's subquery. So by the time I run this, we can see now that um, we have a new column, which is the product price, which is this based on this calculation that we talked about earlier. It's multiplied the unit price and the quantity and subtracted the discount. And the name is product price, just as we have said here. So basically what it's doing is checking out this query, which we had initially, which was also a query. It's not a table. It wasn't there. So usually when you want to query, you do something like select all of these from the table name. But in this case, we are not saying from a table name. We are saying we are referencing another query. So that's basically what a subquery is all about. Okay. So at this point, do you have any question? Let me know if there are questions on the chat. Are there any questions? Hello?
Not seeing any in the comments.
Okay, all right, perfect. So I would continue. I would just add one more just to see that we can have quite a lot of a lot of stuffs inside of this place. So let's assume I want like to count the products, right? So I can see that this order ID now, right? This other ID, you can see 10248, 10248, 10248. We have about three of them here. So I want to know how many products we have under each orders, right? So I need to do something like count. And then I want to know the total price that this order will cost. Of course, that has to be adding all of this together. Okay. So I'm just going to say select. Okay. So I need the order ID, right? And I need to count oh, country count. I need to count this product ID, right? And then I need the sum of this. So meaning it's going to give me, I want the order ID, I want to know the number of products under each order, and I want to know the total amount of this order, which is an addition of all of these prices together. So I'm going to say sum of of product price. Can you see? So of course we are not getting the intelligence to tell us product price because it's not in a table, right? So it's just inside of our subquery. So that's why we have it like this. So we don't have it while we were typing it. So product price. So you can name this one as, maybe you can just give it a name. You can say order price, something like that. All right. So now we are querying this from from this now, right? So not a table. We are querying this from this. So we need to add a bracket, okay, which means that we want to consider all of this as one table, okay? So I'm then going to close the bracket here, all right? And then I need to alias it, okay? So I'm aliasing this whole query here, this one that we have initially, okay? So I can alias it and give it a name, say let me say second table, just to okay, so now because we are doing count, of course we know that we need to have a group by because we're having an aggregate function of count and sum. So it's important for us to add a group by. So I'm going to add a group by clause. So we are grouping by the order ID. So basically what we want to do here, we are expecting we don't expect this order ID to appear more than once because now we are grouping by order ID, and consequently we want to get the count of products under each ID as well as the total amount of this order, which means that we want to sum up all of the product prices together. So if I run this query, you can see now I have the order ID. You have just this first one. The count of products is 3. So let me just use a name that we can understand. Um, just a number of product so we can understand what's going on there. Let me use num. I think it's a bit too long. So when I run that, so we can see that the order ID, this is it. Then the number of products under that order ID is 3, and then the order price is addition of everything. So you will notice that this is not in the right order, so we can always add an order by. So we can order by the order ID. So once we run that, by default, it goes in ascending order. Okay, so it's going to start from the list and increase and so on and so forth. So we can see that the first one we were looking at earlier, it has 3 products, and the total sum of the orders is 439. So this is how subquery works. We can see here we have about 3 queries. Um, 1, 2, 3. So here we have about 3 queries inside, nested into one another. So this is exactly what a subquery means. Okay, so is there any question? Okay. All right. So, of course, this method looks a bit weird because we can, of course, we can get this same result by doing it straightforward. I mean, if we try to query all of these things and write the right query, we should get this even without using this subquery. But the reason why I'm just taking this method is just to show us how a subquery basically works. I promise I'm not going to do anything beyond normal by probably bringing Windows function and all of that. But this is just an illustration of how a subquery works. Okay. So the second one we'll be seeing is why is mice? Okay. Second one we'll be seeing is cities. That's common table expressions. So again, a city is a query that we create using a with clause before writing the main query. So we can simply use it as we can use its output as a temporary table, just like subquery. We can write multiple cities and so. So cities are just a more organized way of you know of subqueries, if I can put it that way. So it is more readable than just subqueries. Now, if you look at this query, if you just bump on this, all of a sudden, it probably takes you some time to figure out what's actually going on here. I mean, there are really lots of queries nested into one another. But with City, they're more readable because of the structure of because of the way they are written. But literally, they are like the same thing. I was reading some stuff. Some servers are able to process them with the same speed. Although when you involve a lot of more tables, then CTE has been proven to perform better than subqueries. Okay, so but that's just by the way. So let's see how CTEs are created. Just as you can see, it says created using a with clause, and that's why some call it with statement. Okay, so you might probably find someone calling um, CTEs with statement. Okay,
We have
so
a question. Quick
all right.
question. The
Mhm.
question reads: is there any disadvantage by using Nest query?
By using what?
A Nest query?
Yes, yes, it is slower. I mean, the performance wise, uh, oh my goodness, no, oh, sorry. Performance wise, it is. I thought my video was on. Sorry about that. Performance wise, it is slower. I mean, you have to run several queries at the time, so it is slower performance wise. And um compared to doing stuff like temporary tables, it is really really slow. When we get to temporary table, you probably figure out what I'm talking about, because as you can see that this, even though we ran this quite a number of times, it is not stored anywhere. So anytime you need this information, you need to query something, you have to run it all over again, all the time. So imagine having about you need this information which we got. You also need some other information in another table and all of that, and you have to run this query like about 5 6 times, doing the same thing over and over again, because the server does not really recognize that you are trying to still query the same. There's nothing here that tells it that this query, if I write it again, is still the same. No, because it is not like a table, or a temporary table and all of that. So yeah, performance wise, is not the way to go. And that's why best practice is maybe you just need it once. I mean, if you can only write a nested, just one nested query, you understand, like maybe just select from, then select, that's all. But if you have to write, just like in this case, if you have to write select from, select from, select from, and you're using a subquery, it's really not a good way of going about it. Okay. All right. I hope I answered your question well. So we'll be looking at cities. Cities are common table expression, and like I said, they are very similar to um, um, to to subqueries, just that they are a bit more structured. So let's see how we can use cities in this particular subquery example that we did, but we're using a city. All right. So I'm just going to copy this code. Let me just keep this here. Mm, let me copy this. Okay, let me copy this one. All right. Okay, for reference. So how do you start writing a city? Just start with the with statement. Okay, that's why some call it the with statement. So with, then you give the name of the city. So I can just say mine is first city. Okay, with as. So this is just the syntax. Okay, nothing more, nothing less. So with the name of the city as, and then you put your query here. Okay, so meaning it's a way of saying I want to store this query as this. Okay, I want to keep this query as this. So then you can bring in your query. So I'm just going to copy and paste the query which we did with the subquery, part of it, not all. So which in this one is saying select product blah 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 from this. Okay, so we have this city. But what next? If I run this, nothing is going to happen. I mean, cities don't work by themselves. Like this, you can't do anything. So after the city, you need to create another table. Do you get it? So after the city, you need to create a query. I beg your pardon. So you need to create a query that is going to like pick up that city. So let me show you what I mean. So after writing the with statement as this is the query which we want. We want to select other ID, this and this from this query, right? And then the next thing that follow is going to be a what follows is going to be a select statement. Okay, so I'm going to say select, right? So select, let's say I need order, or let me just query everything first so we see what we have. So select all from first city. Okay, so just going to be first city. Okay, so let me explain what's going on here. So after declaring the city as this is the query, this is like a table, right? Just like we are trying to store everything here under this name. Okay, so just similar to what you would do with a subquery. In subquery, you're going to like select all of these and you say as, you give it a name, something like that. So that's exactly what we are doing here, just that it's a bit more structured. So you're saying with first city as this query, then select all from city, right? So if I run this, boom, we have exactly what we would have using a subquery. Okay, so the thing is, this cannot work all by itself. If I run this alone without this, it's not going to work. It's going to tell me that first CTE does not exist. So for your CTEs to work, you need to run it. You need to run the final query which you want. You need to run it with the CTE statement, the with statement together. And that's the only way you can have it. So you can see literally it's like a subquery in a query. It's like a query in a query, just like a subquery, just a bit more structured, like I said earlier. So from this table that you have here, you can bring up a lot of stuff, just like we did earlier. So if you go with the example which we used earlier, so now I can try to bring this, select this, right? So I can try to select my order ID, count of product ID as this as this from. So from will now be from the first city. You get it? Because that is the name of the city that we are using. So you're saying from this, you're making reference to this, and then you need to group by. Don't forget, because we have group by order ID, and then order by order ID. Okay. So if I run this, you can see we have exactly the same result as we had earlier. So uh, the same result but different alternative. Okay, so using uh, a subquery or CT. Is there any question at this point?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, sure. Please go ahead.
All right, so Sonali is asking, if a certain query is being used multiple times, is it better to create a temp table and or a view table rather than using a subquery or CTEs?
Yeah, uh, that's the answer. Yes. If you are using it multiple times, you have to. It's better performance wise to create a temp table or views or as the case may be. So that's I think I mentioned that earlier when I got the first question. So those are like the considerations. But when you need to do something very simple, I mean, you just need to query a query. I mean, just one time. Then you can don't need to use like creating an additional table for that. You can like just use a subquery quickly. So far, that is the only time you would have to use to refer to that inner query. You understand? But if you have to um, refer to that inner query quite in multiple times in your work, then you should create a temporary table instead. Okay. I hope I answered the question well. Hello.
We have another
Yeah.
question.
Do you have another question? Is there another question?
Yes, there's another question. So someone is asking, will the city be saved as a new table?
No, it can't be saved. So it's not saved anywhere. It's like a temporary table, but it's not saved. Okay, so and that's why you cannot run this alone. It won't work because it can't find what you can see the error that we got. Look at the error. It says error relation first CTE does not exist. So as far as this server is concerned, there's nothing like first CTE because it's not here. It's not stored here. Okay, so the only time you get to make it work is if you run it. So they're like running at the same time. Okay, and then it is able to recognize that this exists. So it's not stored anywhere. Okay, and just in addition to that, if I have another query after this, CTEs only work after the first query. So let's assume I want to write another query now that is referencing the CTE again. So let's say I'm writing select all from first CTE. Okay, right? So even if I run all of them together, you can see I'm not getting anything. Can you see? So it's not giving me any result because this can no longer work with this. So CTEs usually work with this select statement that come immediately after it. Okay, do you get it? So it's not stored anywhere. That's like a way of answering your question. All right. I hope I answered the question well. Any other question? Any other question?
Yes, there's one more question.
Okay.
So she's asking, what if she wished to save the city?
You can't save a city like maybe there's I don't at this point perhaps tomorrow there will be a syntax to save city. So the only option is to just create a temporary table which we'll be going into soon. Okay, like create a temporary table of views. If you have to use it multiple times like that, you have to um, create a storage for it, either a temporary table or a table itself. So because of course there's a difference between temporary table and just normal table. We'll be going there shortly. So I think that would be a better option to consider if you need to store your your cities or your queries. Okay, I hope I answered that question well. Is there another question?
Thank you, Idris. None for now.
All right,
You can.
perfect. Okay, sure. Thank you. So we'll just try to look at another example. I mean, there are several ways you could use. We've been using with select. You could also use with where you. I mean, lots of ways you can use subqueries. They come in really handy, even though they're kind of disadvantaged with performance. But like I said, there are sometimes you just need to just toggle once, just try to query a query just once. I think they are really, really handy in such instances. So we have quite a number of examples. Perhaps as we go further, we would come up with another session where we can just try to tackle some examples and all of that. So let's just take one more example before we go to temp table. So I will just comment out this. So I just want to write another query, right? So inside of this, so I'm just going to say select so let's say we need the order ID now, because now we just kind of queried all of this. So let's say we need the order ID um, from this one tricky way of using a subquery, but I want to use a subquery now with a city together, right? So that's why I just want to show you this example. So now maybe I should run this again. Oh my God, sorry, my bad. Let me just run this again so we can see what we have. Oops, it's not going to work. Let me take this off. Okay, perfect. So let me bring this again. So let's now assume this is one common use case for subqueries and that I use quite a number of times. So let's assume I want to know the order, mhm, the order with like the highest price, the highest order price. Do you get it? So the order now with the highest order price. No, you would agree with me that even though we can do everything that we've done so far directly, when you query, when you select everything you need and you use your group by, if you write it the right way, you can still get what we have. But this particular one, I'm not sure you would be able to do it, because you need to kind of like um, you need to simplify something, right? You need to first get the maximum price. You need to first calculate this order price as we have it, and then you need to search inside of this order price and check which one is the maximum price, and then you have to come up with the order ID that that belongs to that maximum price. So this definitely cannot be really straightforward, so you will need like a subquery in this case. Okay, so that's what I'm just sure. So is my explanation clear? What we want to do basically is we want to just go through all of these other prices now, and then look for the one that is like the maximum. Okay, and then we are going to um come up with the order ID, not the maximum price now, but the order ID that represents that maximum price. Okay, so let's do something quickly just to be sure that our answer will be what we want. Let me order ID and I make it descending. Okay, order ID descending. So no, 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 not order ID. It should be, I want to order by order price descending. Okay, so this is what I expect. I expect us to have this order ID by the time we are done with this example, because as you can see, this order price is the highest. So we want the order ID that represent this. So that is 10865. So just for reference, we are done with this example, 10865. Okay, so then we are saying select order ID from first city. Don't forget we are still working with this city at the top. Some first city where, okay, where price in, no, not price, where order price, right? So that's the name. Don't worry, I'm going to explain this. So what we want to do now is we want to check for the order ID in this first city table where order price is equals to the maximum of this. Okay, where order price is equals to the maximum of this. You can try in your leisure, try to do equals to maximum, perhaps it will work. But what I want to show us is using a subquery. So I'm going to say where order price in. So using in, you are trying to say, okay, search for the order price that is inside of this query I'm about to write. Okay. And then I'm going to write another query using the select statement. So I'm going to say select, okay, maximum of order price. Okay. So you can see that when I'm writing all of these new tables, new columns that we created, the intelligence is not bringing them up because they are not in any table. They are just something we created while writing. So just to take note of that. So select, I want to select the maximum price from for city. Don't forget, we are still working with the city that we created or that we will create. So you can call this one as let's just give it a name. Let's just say third query or whatever. Just give it a name. Query. Okay, so let me explain what's going on here. So what's going on here is we want to query the order ID now from this city. Don't forget, we know the result of this. This is the result of the city. This is the result the city will give to us. But we want the order ID where the order price is in this query. So when we run this query alone, of course, if I run it now, it will not work because this city, I need to highlight it with city. Okay. Okay, let me do this just to make it clear. I want to make it as clear as possible. So let me just bring this here and run it together. Um, Order price does not exist. Don't we? Oh, product price. We have order price. Um, oh, it was here we created it. Oh, that's okay. Let me change it to product. Hmm, hopefully it works. Okay, so what you can see that we just this query alone will give us a value. Okay, so that value is what we want to be like evaluated here. So check this query is now, this is one query now, is going to check inside of this query again and tell us where the order price is equals to the maximum value, which is this. Do you get it now? So that's exactly what we want to do. So so I'm just going to say I need to change this one to product price because I see it did not work earlier. Okay, so now when I run all of this together, saying other price does not exist. Where do we have other price? Where this one should be product price then. Product price. Okay. So when I run all of this, so we can see that we got the order ID. It was different from the illustration I gave because the illustration I gave was with the grouped table, the one that used group by. So it was different, but this one will be using a different table now. Okay, but this just explains how you can use a subquery inside of a city as well. You can use them together. So you are using you are querying something inside of this, and you are referencing a subquery. So that's really like how to go about them. So you can use them interchangeably, you can use them together just to get the best results. But take note of there are pro and cons, which I already highlighted some of them in terms of performance. So that's that. Please let me know if there are any other question, then we move to temporary tables. Okay, if there's any other question.
Oh, yes, there is one.
Okay.
So it's asking, when is the best to use a CTA or a view?
Views are like um when it kind of gives a restriction. Let me just paint a scenario like for instance, as the one in charge of the database, for instance, maybe though the analyst needs to source the data from the sales, for instance, and you don't want them to have access to like every other thing, so you could just create a view that would just kind of like they would only have access to that that table. You understand? So that's like the use case for views that I am very aware of. So the cities and view, comparing them is not really like, I don't think there should be much comparison with them. I mean, with cities you can see that you don't have them stored, but views you can have them stored and you can always call them during your queries. That's like my explanation for that. I don't know if that is satisfactory enough. So you can see them. Views take space like in your you can see them in your database, but cities you cannot. Just similar with the temp tables. Okay, can I continue, or is there any other question?
Yes, please continue. Thank you.
Okay. So I'd rather say the difference between stored procedures and view, but I will not go there. So let me just continue. So we'll be looking at these are some of the stuff that I put out. So they can be used literally anywhere. Subqueries, as you can see, they can be used anywhere, any place, and they can act as a column with single value. They can be correlated, they can work together and all of that. Cities, they are reusable. I don't know, I don't know how it's reusable, but they are more readable, just like you can see what we have here. Just easy for you to understand that, okay, this represent this, and but they are literally like for same thing. So lastly, let's look at temporary tables. So everything that we have been doing, both cities and subqueries, they kind of create temporary tables, just that they are not stored anywhere. Okay, so they are just like for the moment, a temporary table for that moment in time. But with oh, don't let me mix it up with temporary tables. So okay, let me say they kind of create temporary queries. So let me put it that way so you don't get them mixed up. So kind of create temporary queries for that moment. But with temporary tables, now you are creating something that will be stored. Okay, however, it will only work for that session. Okay, so the moment you log out of your session, um any temporary table that you've created is gone. Okay, so that's just the difference between a temporary table and a not a regular table. Of course, the regular table will always be there anytime, any day. But with temporary tables, while you are going on with the session, you always have access to them, you always refer to them, you always call them. But as soon as you end that session, you log out of your server and you are back, you don't find them there anymore. Okay, so that's just something you need to take note about temporary tables. All right. So it's weird. I mean, when I was trying to check out with PostgreSQL and this SQLite, it was really not giving me the result that I expected. I don't know, perhaps it's just the network or the way this I was trying to really rack my head around it. But if it's still not work the way I expect, I will just show you how you can always write these temp tables and how you can always use them in other servers like MS SQL or MySQL and all of that. Okay. So literally, you know that creating a table is very easy in SQL. You just write something like create, create table, followed by the table name, right? Table, and let's say the table name is let's just say first temp. Just this is just an example. Okay, so this is usually like the order, the structure, how you create a temporary a table generally, right? But with a temporary table in MS SQL and MySQL, for instance, all you need to do if you need to signify that this is a temporary table is to use the hash sign. Okay, so this way you are letting it know that, oh, this table I'm about to create is not the regular table that you know, rather it is a temporary table. This alone just makes it recognize that it is a temporary table. And then you can put in your let's say I can say my order ID. Let us still go with the flow of what we have been coming up with. So I want to put in my order ID. Let's make that an integer. I want to put in my product ID, and also let's make that an integer. Then my price, which is the one we calculated earlier. I also want that to be if let it be a float. I think we have decimals there, except we need to round them up. Okay. So and then you close this, right? So once you create this, you would have your temporary table, but it's not working here in MS SQL, in PostgreSQL, because you're currently using PostgreSQL. So to create temporary tables in PostgreSQL, you don't use this hash sign, okay? Rather, you just do something like create temp. You can use temp or temporary. I think both of them works the same way. Okay. So create temporary table. Then the name of the temporary table you want to create, followed by the colons that you have inside of them. So in this case, we want order ID, product ID, price, uh, and what you have here. So if I run this now, take a look at what we have here. So if you look at this place now, there's currently nothing like first temp, right? But as soon as I run this query, oops, oh, there's a I need to take this off. I don't know why it's there. So I need to run this again. So as soon as I run this query, you can see now that you have first temp. Can you see it here? So you have this first temp, meaning a table has been created temporarily, as you can see inside of this place. But if I log out of this session, I won't be logging off anyways. But if I do leave and come back to connect again, I can't find this temporary table anymore. It will be gone. Okay, so this temporary table will only be available for this session I am currently on. Okay, so let's assume I want to query this I want to query this first temp. Now you would see that when I am typing first temp, I am having it. The IntelliSense is giving me. Unlike when I was creating cities, I was not getting the name because now this one is stored in memory for a while, right? As far as this session is concerned. Now, normally when I run this alone, it's supposed to work, but I wouldn't know why it's not working in Postgres, to be honest. This was what I was talking about earlier. Perhaps if anyone has a solution or you think you know how to go about this, I know with MS SQL and MySQL, this would work normally, but for some reasons I don't know, it's saying that it does not exist. So what I had to do is run it all over again, which doesn't really give us the advantage we talked about, because usually temporary tables should work all by themselves. Like you don't need to start running, create temporary table again and all of that. They should work like that. But for some reasons, it's not working. So I wouldn't know why. Maybe it's Postgres or perhaps this because of where we are, mm, the SQL. I don't know. But this was the issue I was having that I talked about earlier. But normally, this should work. I mean, when you query this, you should have you should be able to use your table for any other thing. Okay, so but I showed you if you need to create it in MS SQL, MySQL, it is not like this. Rather, you need to use the hash sign, and then you create your tables, and then you can like okay, let's say for instance I want to say um insert. Okay, okay, let me bring this here. So we want to say insert into first temp. Okay, so insert into first temp values. This is just literally how you create your tables, right? So it's not like there's a big deal. So I want to put 12, let's say 24, 16. Okay, I think I said float, so this one should be 16.3, something like this. So if I run this, again, if I run them, it's not going to work all by themselves. So I need to just run everything together, which doesn't make sense. So, but of course, when you do create your temporary table, just like every table, and you can see that you have all the values that you have here. Okay, and again, you can just put in your queries inside of your temp tables, right? So instead of having to write manually like this, you can just insert into first temp, right? Then you can do something like, so insert into first temp, and then let's bring in one of our queries that we have here. I won't be using this one. Let me use this one. So let me use this subquery that we created. So if I bring this in now, right? So, and I say, I run everything together. It's strange. Um, near select. Okay, something is wrong. Let me see. Let me try to separate them. All of these are just all of these are just the queries that we want to put inside of this first temp. um don't know what's the issue there. um mm, what's going on there? mm, this should work. Insert into the first table, select this. Can anyone tell me what is going on here? mm, hmm Insert into first temp. this is there we go again. Okay, let me just run this one. Okay, then what? Oh, I need to close this. Yeah, sorry. So then when I run this, so I can see now that this is our temporary table, and it has all of these things inside of it. So when we run it, we kind of like stored every of this query that we had, and we have our temp table. Okay, so but the disadvantage, just like I was saying, is that this is not running all by itself, which is strange because it's supposed to. So let's assume it was working the way we expected. After filling this up like this, then we can make use of that first temp and just say select whatever from first temp, and it's going to work perfectly fine. You understand? But I don't know why it's not showing, it's not working in this one. I don't know. But I showed you, if you need to do it in MS SQL or MySQL, this then you can always do it that way. Okay. So I think I would take questions now if there are any questions. Are there any questions? Um, yeah, I'm done. Any question? Um, I don't know. Can I be heard?
I don't see any questions for you,
Ah,
Idris.
okay, okay. So I think that kind of completes everything we did today. So um this is just basic. This is just like foundation simple stuffs. Like we did not really do anything complicated. Hopefully, after we take window functions in one of these SQL Saturdays, then we'll come back again to see how with window functions you can really see the complexity that comes with using them, and how nice it is using these stuff. But for now, I think it's all good. So thank you so much, guys, and it was nice learning from you all. Bye bye.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to the ninth session of SQL Saturdays. We hope that you really enjoyed the teaching with Idris today. We had linked his Twitter and his LinkedIn, so if you want to follow him, please do so. We also linked as submitted a link to our Discord as well that you can click on so that you can connect with other data professionals and also other SQL coaches as well that we have here on the platform. All right, awesome. Please feel free to fill out our survey or form. We have it linked there as well. Okay, and we really looking forward to hearing feedback from you guys. Okay, all right. So again, here is our Twitters and our LinkedIn. If you want to give us a shout out, if you want to follow us, I am at AMG in Tech. I am in the health profession, so if you want to follow me on there, Aegis is there, and Manachi, and also Rob. Rob couldn't join us today, but he'll be here next session, hopefully. But then again, thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.